Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2Mnet podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling. You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
Hello and welcome to League to the Max, or whatever. I am your host, Bryan Andesian Espinoza, and with me is my good friend and producer of the show, the disembodied Dr. Manhattan of this crazy, chaotic 2 weeks we've gone through so far, your friend and mine, Mr. Eric Watkins. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, especially when I get to tell you once again I was right.
All right. We'll get to that. You were right about four-way chaos and history make. We'll get to that. First of all, we are done with groups. That's all the fat lady saying for now. But there is no fat lady in league. The closest we get is a fat dude that drinks booze named Gragas. And well, even
My
he
kind
said,
of dude.
and even he said that's all we wrote. We got the 4 teams advance, or sorry, the 8 teams. Wow, I need more coffee. Where is that can of coffee? Here we go. We got the 8 teams moving on to quarterfinals set. And we're going to get to that quarterfinals bracket in just a moment here. But I'm going to start off by asking you a question for a change, because normally you ask me the questions about things, right?
It's normally how it goes.
Yeah. So what do you think is the best moment so far out of this group stage? Like obviously there's been quite a few moments.
Okay, even though we had the ultimate craziness and the long cat day that was yesterday, I don't know what you've done. I don't know if you slipped some hopium into my beverages, but I gotta say, Cloud9, coming out of nowhere, I always love a good underdog moment, pulling off what at the time was almost impossible, coming out of Group A and making it to the quarters. I mean, there's been some close moments to top that, but especially with the reputation of Cloud9 and everything else, I gotta hand it to them.
Yeah, no, I got to agree with you. I mean they are the North American team. They've never not made it out of play-ins. They've I want to say no, they haven't never not made it out of groups, but
Double negative much?
They definitely actually, you know what, we have we have we have resources, right?
Yes,
We
they
have
exist for a
resources.
reason.
Let's see. Check. Okay, 2015 they didn't make it out on a 3-3 record. Go figure. The 3-3 of death, which we're gonna get to that in a moment. Yeah, there's only actually no, sorry, 2019. Okay, so yeah, Cloud9 has only failed to make it out of groups in 2015 and 2019.
Okay, so pencil them in to not make it out of the group in 2023. I got you.
And in 2015 they were 3-3 tie. It was a 3-3 tie. I guess they lost the tie. And then in 2019 they went 2-4. But they also had G2 in that group, so Europe better than Europe greater than EU greater than NA. Let's not get that started in the chat. Oh Lord. Speaking of scoregami, though, for those of you who are sports fans and know that term from other sporting things, we do have one. It exists for League. Somebody was nice enough and made one. I'm gonna get this over to you here, Eric, and we'll get that on screen. That was not the link that I wanted to send you. Holy crap! There we go. The 3-3 tiebreaker in Group D. The first time ever that this has happened. Out of all possible scenarios that you can end up in a group in this format, and they've had this same format since 2014. So, um, this is the first time that three-way 3-3 has happened. That's also the first time we've had a four-way tie period in a group. So, then again, there is no other real possibility to end with a four-way tie. So there you go.
The ultimate. Well, I don't know if you would consider it a circle of death because it's four, but for a double round robin, it's close enough.
Yeah. That was Group D. I said it before. I'll say it again. I can continue to say it because the group is over. Group of Chaos had 9 games yesterday. 9. Riot Games had a broadcast day of, I think when it ended it was like 11 hours and some change. I didn't even bother to look because I was that tired. I was so tired yesterday. I actually stopped sitting at my computer watching the games and everything. I pulled up Riot Games stream on my phone on Twitch, and I went and laid in bed and watched the group state or watched the quarterfinal draw from bed because I'm like, okay, this is going to be quick. They'll end it right after this. I'm already exhausted. I don't have any more hype left in me. And I'm like, I'm just going to go lay down now. Yeah, that was yesterday was long. It was rewarding for the fans though. I'm all for more games of League of Legends. Um I'm sure Riot is probably coming up with ways to prevent this from happening again next year, especially with the very limited amount of casters that they have on hand this year due to
Well,
COVID
well,
and some of them, like Captain Flowers, for example, who is an excellent caster and person in general, by the way. And you should go follow his social media and streams and stuff. We'll get to that in a moment, too. Um,
I do find it interesting that number one, now there are only 4 scenarios that have not played out in any group. And number two, this could lead to what we were discussing before about changing the group stage format.
yeah, I think between what happened in Group B this year um, and what happened in Group D, there may be a format change coming next year. I wouldn't put it past Riot, but I'm also not hopeful for it, right? Like, as you can see, this is a format that they've used since the inception of the tournament in 2014. Um, or at least since they went to this format in 2014, because I believe there was a 2012 and a 2013 champion. That sounds about right. Because 2014, I want to say, was the first year we had international competition, because the first 2 years of Worlds was just NA and EU. It wasn't established or opened to other regions. So yes, I want to say since that's happened, um, this is the format that they've gone by. Do they change the format? I don't know. That's talk that you can have like next year. Honestly, let's get through the tournament first, okay?
That's
Um,
fair.
Group A. All right, let's talk about how these groups sorted or shook out, and how fucked my pickums are, because that's also a thing. I think everybody's pickums are fucked. Like, let's be realistic here. Um, I don't think anybody is doing good on pickums right now. In fact, Riot still hasn't determined how they're gonna score Group D. Like if you go to Pick'ems right now, they have not done any points calculations yet on Group D. So right now, apparently nobody has a perfect score anymore.
I figured that this was going to happen. We were all talking last time about those select less than 200 people who still had it going. I'm like, at some point, there's going to be some time to where that just gets dashed.
Now, I'm taking what I'm seeing here with a grain of salt, right? Because again, Group D is not locked. Like they haven't put anything in for Group D yet. So either they're just not going to count it at all towards pick'em points, which wouldn't make any sense to me, or they're going to give everybody credit, then just give everybody points for a perfect group, which also doesn't make sense to me because they did play tiebreakers. The tiebreakers determined the other groups, and they pick them pointed on. Like for example, Hanwha Life got out second, right? Because they played the tiebreaker. They won over PSG. They got out,
Right.
and so Hanwha Life was second place. They gave him second place, so on and so forth. Um, so I don't know how Riot intends to handle this Group D pick'em situation. I'm gonna wait a couple of days. If nothing, I'm sure we'll hear something from Riot or somebody will be like, oh shit, we forgot to hit the button, and then we'll see everybody's pick'ems because we also have to do there are pick'ems for quarterfinals. I don't know when those are opening up, but they do pick'ems for the bracket stage as well.
Well, I would assume since those kick off Friday, that you would probably have those open up Thursday.
Um, I think Thursday is probably the latest we see them open. I expected them to be open today, in all honesty. Maybe later today, but definitely today. But they don't even have anything on Riot's website about when quarter picks are coming up. So maybe Riot's taking a very well deserved day off after the lengthy day yesterday and just the condensed format of groups. I think Riot has to figure out how they're going to do the play-in stage, right? Like you can't have the play-in stage cannibalize a whole week of worlds. Like you just can't.
Well, I
Because
would.
you take away those you take away time that's needed to settle out the groups. Like
Well, I
groups.
would.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I would think that especially if you have your Vietnamese teams come back next year, then you would go back to something similar to how you did in what was that 2019, to where you have the four triangular groups in the play-ins, and then your group winners just advance.
Yeah, that's typically what they did. And I think with the two Vietnamese teams hopefully returning back in 2022, I'm hoping we return to that and that we don't have to, we don't have to give up, what was it, 8 days, I think, or 7 days of, I don't, let me look at the schedule. So I can go back in the schedule and look at it. Let's see, we had, we had 5 days. 5 broadcast days were given to play-ins, right? Which means that they had to give up, like they had to pull 5 broadcast days off the schedule, which is why groups went from 1 week or from 2 weeks down to 1 gig a week with the day off in between. Because groups was 8 days with a day off in the middle.
Oof.
Like, because let's see here, this was Tuesday, right? Yeah, last Tuesday. So the 12th, the 13th, that's 2. Friday the 15th, 3. Saturday the 16th, 4. So yeah, 4 days to settle the first round robin. And then
Another 4 days to settle the second round robin because it was one group per day.
I might be looking at this wrong. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Because they went straight into groups from the play-ins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they went Monday was round robin, Tuesday was round robin, Wednesday was round robin, and then they gave a day off. So they did 3 days for the first round robin at 8 games a day, which is long as hell, right? And then they went 6 games a day at minimum for 4 days in a row. So 4 plus 3, that's 7, right? So they went 7 days for the group stage. And that was pretty much 7 days straight with the 1 day off in the middle. Like I said, they went first round robin 3 days, put a day in the middle, and then 4 days for the second round robin, 1 day for each group.
Yeah, something like that is incredibly taxing.
Yeah.
Incredibly taxing.
And that's taxing on everybody. That's taxing
Mhm.
on your broadcast crew. That's taxing on your players. It's taxing on everybody. Like I will pull up an example here, right? So Laura Valley or Laura Bolivi, she is one of the interviewers. She's out of the LEC, which is Europe, right? She
Mhm.
did the interviews for, I believe, all of the play-ins and all of groups.
Whoa.
She did a majority. I think she did either at least all of them or a very very heavy majority of them. Right, like pretty much every time you see a player coach player personnel interview was her. Right, she did 59 interviews. She posted this on her Twitter yesterday. She did 59 interviews. She is done. She is actually gone on Twitter. She said, that's it. I'm done for Worlds this year. Shocks is going to be taking her place, doing player personnel interviews moving forward. They're pulling her off of the analyst / hosting desk. She has also been busy. I know she's Shocks has been tag teaming days with Dash as far as the hosting the analyst desk goes. There was another tweet I saw. I'm pretty sure I retweeted it. Oh yeah, Ji-Soon Park, right? If you know Korea, you know Ji-Soon. She is the translator, effectively. She is an interviewer and translator for Riot. She works out of Korea, but they do bring her to Worlds, and she's not done, right? Like, because she is the #1 English Korea translator. So far, and she posted this 6 hours ago on Twitter. She has done 99 interviews and translations.
Why not just make one for the road and have it as an even 100?
Oh no, she's not done yet.
Oh crap.
She's there for like I said, she's there for the entire tournament. Like I said, she is the premier #1. I think they have 2 of them. I believe it's her and Candace. Are the 2 translators, but I believe Candace covers the Chinese teams. I could be wrong. I always get the foreign broadcast folks mixed up, and I'm sorry. If you're watching or listening, you can send your corrective tweets to @theandesian. I also accept follows. But yeah, no, they both of them, I believe, are there for the remainder of the tournament. Thankfully, the pace of this tournament just slowed down dramatically, right? But still, the first part of this tournament has been taxing on everybody. So I'm not upset that people are taking a day off and that we're probably not hearing much out of anybody today. Like the players will, I know some of the players have been active this morning. Cadril was on, he was streaming earlier. We were watching him. He was watching Faker, boot camp, or I don't know if you want to say boot camp, but he was watching Faker play solo queue. Um, there's a channel called Tracking the Pros on Twitch. That's very good for that as well. They're all of the pros are pretty much, you're going to see a lot of pro play or a lot of pros playing, excuse me, in the EU solo queue the next few days because they ain't got nothing else to do. And I don't expect these teams to scrim each other 24/7, right? You don't want to give away, you want to tip your hand, you know? It's like, yeah, we'll play a practice game against you, you know, here and there, sure, but I don't, you know, they're not going to, you know, practice 24/7. I'm sure the players have some time off to, you know, okay, we want you to solo queue. All right, now you can go and have dinner. You can play ARAM. You do whatever, you know. But we're going to see a lot of the remaining players in the EU solo queue very heavily over the next few days until.
Not to mention, I would think that especially after what happened yesterday, the players would just get a flat out day off, some kind of review or anything, yes, and then go into the solo queue as you said. But just for something like that, they would need a break.
I think some of the teams have gotten a reprieve. I don't imagine any of those Group D teams, like, you know, Gen G and Mad Lions are going to be really. You're going to see a lot of them in solo queue today. I think they're probably, you know, taking the day off. They might be doing scrim, like, you know, a couple of scrims here and there. Maybe some image training. That's the new rage, is what I'm hearing. Kind of similar concept to basketball or football. You put a scenario on a whiteboard and you tell the players, okay, this is, you know, what do you do in this situation? Like, you've got 3 seconds to tell me what to do in this situation. Like, what's your next move? That seems to be the new fad that's as far as coaching and practicing goes. I read a Korean interview with the T1's coach, where they're saying that is the big thing, is the image training. So I imagine they're probably, you know, doing a little bit of that today. I don't think they're going too intensive of, you know, you've got to get screen time in front of the game. So let's take a look at how these groups have panned out, shall we? I want to see if I can find a tweet here with the excuse me.
Bless you.
That came out of nowhere.
That's what she said.
Hi-yo. I mean, wait a minute. This is not an episode of Point of Viewer. Oh, here we go. All right. Here's the tweet I was looking for. Here's something coming your way for us, for the folks that are watching us. By the way, if you are watching us, thank you for watching us. If you're listening to us on your preferred podcast platform of choice, of which there are very many, and I'm not going to name them all because I can only ever remember Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Podbean, and yeah. I'm probably getting better, but
You only missed about 3 of the main ones this time.
You can also find us on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, W2MNet, most of those places. But as we get this, and you can catch this show live as it happens, if you have the opportunity, of course. But here we go. The end of the group stage, right? We had a whopping 54 total games played. And for those of you out there in social media land, especially Twitter land, that have been following the accuracy rating of my predictions, we're getting to that. I'm not spoiling it right off the bat. So, Group A, to no surprise of anyone, Damn One Kia went out in 6-0. They did not drop a single game. This was not anything that anybody expected. Now the question is, which side of the 6-0 statistic are they on? Because I shared a statistic earlier in the week on the podcast, right? Where I said that teams that went 6-0 in their group had a 66.6% or 2/3 chance of winning Worlds, right? Samsung White did it, T1 has done it, and Longzhu did it, right? They went 6-0 in their group. Samsung White and T1, they won. Longzhu, they were out in quarterfinals. So, time to find out which side of that statistic Damwon will be on. And we'll talk about who they drafted in the who they picked up for their opponent in the quarterfinals bracket in a moment here. Cloud9, the miracle 1.56% run achieved. Some patron saint of something is watching over them, and they got out. Like, surprisingly to everybody, they got out, right? Fun Plus Phoenix was supposed to get out of that group. That was supposed to be the group of death. Like, it was locked. FPX, Damn One, sorry Cloud9, sorry Rogue. Do the best you can to play spoiler. Well, Cloud9 said, "Oh, you want us to play spoiler? Okay," and they got out. So we'll be talking more about Cloud9 in a few moments here. No, don't worry. In Group B, right? T1, they had a surprising loss to Edward Gaming early on there. But they managed to get out of the group in the first seed with an overall record of 5-1. EDG will take it 4-2. 100 Thieves went 3-3. If you have a 3-3 record in Worlds, the chances of you getting out are extremely low, right? Like, if it looks like your overall record is going to end at 3-3, I'm sorry, you're probably going home. And DFM again, shout outs to our Japan fans. DFM did amazing. They obviously they gained some notoriety, or I don't know if notoriety is the word I'm looking for. But they definitely got some fans, some recognition. They will definitely are favorites to come back next year. That's for sure. I think there's going to be people keeping an eye on them as the year progresses over there in that region. Group C. This was an interesting group. Obviously, everybody wanted Fnatic to go on the miracle run like Cloud9 did. I will say Fnatic week 2 looked absolutely fantastic. The team came together as a cohesive unit. Bean looked like he was just smurfing worlds. His mechanics, decision making, macro gameplay, everything and anything. The man was on fire. There's a thing on Twitter. Apparently, he started following Jack, which is the owner of C9. Obviously, you don't look too much into these rumors, but C9 Bean, we'd have to give up perks, but I don't know if that's happening. But hey, you know what? The kid did a good job. I feel bad for Fnatic given their circumstances. They really looked like they were gonna pull off the miracle run when they showed up at the first game of the day and took out RNG, but they couldn't muster over everybody else, unfortunately. Speaking of, RNG did not look as unkillable as I thought they would. They ended up going 4-2. They actually tied. They won the tie. There was a tiebreaker game held because I believe that was head to head here. Actually, hold on. Let me check, right? Because I could be wrong. There's been so much chaos that's happened this week. Yeah, there was a tiebreaker there. I was right. Hanwha Life, the Chovy show, the Chovy week, the Chovy worlds. Like, here's a team, right, that came in and they got relegated to play-ins. And Chovy said, "You want to send me to the play-ins and you're going to make me play all the way through the whole entire tournament? Okay, hop on my back. Let's go." And so far, he has been carrying his team through this tournament. Um, they pulled off the wins where they needed them and where a lot of people thought they weren't going to get them, and they got out of the group. So Group C, we get RNG will get the first seed. Hanwha Life got the second seed. It was a interesting tiebreaker game for sure. I thought Hanwha Life was going to win the tiebreaker game, and they didn't. So, yeah, Group D, right? Let's talk about Group D. This was yesterday's games. Haven't really gone too much into this yet. Holy bejesus, somebody got high and said, here's what's going to be the chaos for today, right? Like, you couldn't tell me, like, at the beginning of this group, right? Now, I said, you could have told me on Thursday, right? When this group, when the second round robin started, you could have told me, you could have said, "Hey, Andesian, Group D is going to be a 4-way tie, and Gen G and Mad Lions are going to get out." And I would have looked at you and I would have said, "You're nuts." Especially, before any other chaos had started, right? Like, this is also, before Cloud9 gets out. Like, just, pre-broadcast show. You could have sat there and told me, he's like, "Yeah, no, so a 4-way tie never happened before in the group, and Gen G and Mad Lions get out," right? And I would have looked at you and I would have said, "No, you're nuts." I would have said that Gen G hasn't looked that great, which clearly they haven't. They're the weakest LCK team so far. And I would have told you that I thought that Group D was our best chance for 2 North American teams getting out, and I would have stood by Team Liquid and Mad Lions, right? No, not at all. Chaos happened, and yeah. So we had our predictions a couple days ago, right? And we're sitting here and we're going, okay, you know what? My friend over here, Eric, thinks that we're going to get the 4-way tie, and I'm like, you know what? I'm looking at these scenarios for the 4-way tie, and I just don't think any of them are plausible enough, right? And you sit there and you're going in to the oh my goodness, what was the? I am losing my mind here because I'm looking at something. I'm sorry.
You see, I keep saying this is exactly what happens.
So yeah, so you sit there, and I'm sitting there, and you're going into the Gen G LNG game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, there's no way LNG don't lose this, or sorry, there's no way Gen G don't lose this. Like,
Yet,
yeah, if LNG win this game, that is one of the scenarios that allows us to look at a 4-way tie for this group. But I just LNG Chinese team. China does not thrive in these best of one scenarios. They've never been great at groups, right? They'll do great week 1 and choke week 2, or vice versa.
And what happened?
But what happened is LNG somehow miraculously wins over Gen G. And I'm just sitting here shitting bricks because
I remember getting a few messages when I woke up that morning on Discord, and I'm just like, I warned you. I warned you.
because I'm sitting there like, wait a minute. No. The four-way tie is alive. I don't believe this because freaking like they actually took them down. What I said on the podcast on what was that, Sunday? Yeah, because we didn't do a show yesterday. The last show we did was Sunday. So yeah,
Yep.
what I said on air Sunday was that the toughest scenario in which we get a four-way tie was LNG picking up that win over Gen G. And what the happened? LNG picks up the freaking win. And I just started I shit bricks everywhere. I went nuts on Twitter. I'm pretty sure I blew up our W2M net Discord. I know I was blowing up the a couple of other Discords I'm in. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta I gotta use the permutator and blow this out. And lo and behold, I'm sitting there like, oh shit, if the rest of my predictions hold true, this is one of the four-way tiebreaker scenarios. And
Your exact words. I wish I had stuck with my predictions for the four-way tie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing much to say about that, huh?
I mean, I'm throwing my hands up in the air here because I'm like,
so after the LNG win,
so yeah, after the LNG win, I'm sitting here like, okay, so far in this tournament, with the exception of Group C, with the exception of Group B, which was just a bad pick'ems day which is just a bad prediction day overall, right? Like with how easily that game or that group locked in, I'm not surprised that my picks went to shit, right? But for the other 3 out of the 4 days of the group, I have had a 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7 or 8 out of 9 prediction rating, right? Like I've only missed one game, right? Of course, out of all of the games that I have to fucking get wrong, it's the one that gives us the four-way tie. So I'm sitting here and I got this in mind, right? And I'm like, oh shit. The rest of my predictions are right because I've only always been one game wrong. This is the one game wrong for today, which means we're getting a four-way tie. And I just started going I'm like, guys, we're getting a four-way tie. It's happening. Like, look at my track record on predictions here. I get one game wrong in the group and the rest are right. We're going to have a four-way tie today. And of course, after the LNG or after the Mad versus TL game is when it starts getting like serious, right? As far as people talking about the four-way tie thing. Now, mind you, I want to point out a statistic and a series of tweets. So at the start of the day, right? LOL Esports made a tweet. Fun fact, in 6.25% of the remaining scenarios, we are getting a four-way tie in Group D. They updated it after every game. 12.5%, 25%, 50%. And I was right about
I'm putting this right up on the screen here.
And it was right about when the if you go to I can send you the
Yeah,
I'll
because I
send you the
think if they
one
did it as a whole thread, then
I'll send you the no, they did it as quote retweets, but I'll send you the 100% one and you can move backwards on the tracking from there. But needless to say, when it hit 50% is when or when it hit 25% is when people started freaking out like, wait a minute, hold on, this is actually possible now.
so yeah,
And
six
then when
point
it
two 5%, and
And
then
then when it got down to TL has to win over Gen G, right? That's when people started worrying because it's like, well, if TL wins, then the four-way tie is alive. And what did TL do? They won, right? They showed up and they won exactly how we needed them to. Mad Lions versus Team Liquid. That was a hell of a game. And when Mad Lions won it, that's when the shit hit the fan, right? Everybody's like, oh god, four-way tie is actually possible. Like actually possible. Because at this point, everybody is now dismissing Gen G because Gen G kind of choked. And by kind of choked, I mean they were choking. Because in North America stocks were going up on the TL win, and the four-way tie happened, and Twitter went insane. Everybody went insane. And man, those were some good games. I feel bad the Team Liquid had to draw Gen G, and they ended up getting knocked out. But
it all came down to the clock.
it did. It get your clocks out, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, I will show you. We got a tweet here of what ended up being the tiebreaker bracket.
Pulling that up.
But yeah, LNG when they played against what was that last game of the day? Mad Lions, yeah. When LNG played against Mad Lions, the two of them were playing, and the casters are like, they got to do it in like 17 minutes. If they don't do it in 17 minutes, it's going to be a rematch, and the very next game is just going to be these two teams. They don't even have to leave the stage.
Oh.
And that's exactly what happened. That was a slobber knocker of you thought the first one was bad. The second one was even worse. It was, you want to talk about stalling. Like RNG is the freaking kings of stalling. Or sorry, not RNG. Mad Lions are the kings of stalling. LNG was trying, man, but oof. But yeah, that's where we are. That's how it went.
So the target time was 17 minutes.
That's like 17 minutes and 40 seconds for Mad Lions to have the top seed in the group.
And how long did that particular
Oh, I
game
was
last?
oh Lord, what was it? 40 something minutes, I think. There wasn't even close. It was they went from the first to the last.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I could just imagine because I have been through this pain as everything progresses. Okay, this is what they need for top seed. This is what they need for second seed. This is what they need for third seed. And I just say it kept going. I feel everybody's pain in that regard, just knowing that it slipped in at the very last second. Boom.
Yeah, so here's where I knew I had this stat was out there, right? The seeding time, the total seeding time, right? And I'll send you the tweet here so you can get this up on screen. Mad Lions had a total combined game time of an hour, 24 minutes, and 13 seconds. LNG had Sorry, this was before the Mad Lions LNG game, right? This was before the
So,
last game of the day.
if I'm reading this right, Mad Lions 1 hour 24 minutes 13.2 seconds.
Yep.
LNG 1 hour 30 minutes 9.3 seconds.
Yep.
Team Liquid 1 hour 32 minutes 25.4 seconds.
Yep.
And Gen G an hour 41:57 flat.
Yep. And they needed to win the game within 17 minutes and 44 seconds in order to not be the last seed.
17:43.8. And yes, if they're going down to the 10th of a second, so am I.
Now, LNG tried. Like it or sorry, Mad Lions tried, right? Like they played like stupidly hyper aggressive. They had a 4-1 lead like 3 minutes into the game.
Oh
Like,
man, they were really trying to wrap it up because they could have still secured top seed within. I know it's impossible, but like 6 minutes, just under.
yeah, no, you can't. I think the fastest game even I've ever seen was like 9 minutes, maybe 10. And that's like, some bronze versus challenger, like, somebody opened mid kind of thing. Like, I'm not talking about actual professional, games here. But damn if Mad Lions wasn't trying. Like that early game. Damn if Mad Lions wasn't trying. But yeah, no, they ended up going. It was, oh god, what was it? Oh man, I'm trying to find the total game time. 31 minutes and 22 seconds.
Okay, so not terrible, but still heartbreaking.
Yeah. They did it in a little bit over half the time they needed to. Or double the time they needed to.
So, yeah, it's like, oh, might as well just stay here now.
So,
Yeah, that's what happens when you have that strategy. It's like, oh no, 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 you're not getting away
the
from
funny
us.
the funny thing is there was a moment there where they were talking about a possibility of LNG forfeiting at 15 minutes to dodge Mad Lions because they were just getting their whatnots stomped in the early game.
And that 15-minute, yeah, that would have been
And if they
just
forfeited in
enough.
15 minutes, it would have been just enough to put Mad Lions not at the last seed.
Yep, LNG would have been 1, Team Liquid 2, Mad Lions would have been 3rd
Yep.
in that case.
Which meant we would have seen a reverse order of that tiebreaker bracket. We would have seen LNG, Gen G, and Mad Lions Team Liquid, which would not have been very happy for NA or EU fans because at that point one of those two teams has to go home. At least with this tiebreaker bracket, there was a possibility that both EU and NA still get out of that group alive, and they end up just fighting it out for first seed. Because that's what happened here. Like just so for the folks that are listening or watching, so there isn't confusion. The way this tiebreaker shook out was one plays the first seed by game time plays the fourth seed. So the fastest team plays the slowest team, and then the two folks in the middle play each other. The losers of both of those games go home. Right, they're tied for third. They're not. They don't play out who gets third, who gets fourth. And then the winners of those two games move on to play a game to determine who gets first seed, because first seed determines the first and second seed can determine who you play in the bracket stage.
They determine what pot you go in for the draw.
Right. Speaking of pots for the draw, we can go ahead and talk about the bracket draw. Unfortunately, my prediction did not come true. We did not get God, what the heck was it? Yankos. Yeah. We didn't get Yankos to show up and do the draw. They had a random Riot referee do it.
I mean, I get that, trying to eliminate any potential accusations of bias, but kind of messed up your checklist a bit.
Yeah, that messed up my checklist. I'm sure he'll be back. G2 is not doing anything. G2 did not make it to Worlds. That's a controversy in and of itself that we may talk about as off-season content. But they have a Riot referee. I'm assuming it might have been the head referee. I don't know. I apologize for the folks at home that my camera keeps going in and out of focus today. We had some technical difficulties right before the show started, so we're trying to power through them. So the quarterfinals draw ended up being very, very good, honestly. At least depending on who you are rooting for, of course. I tweeted about this live when it happened. I sent out one tweet and then I went to sleep. But as soon as we get that graphic up on screen for our folks watching us, RNG seeded into the first section. Genji seeded into the second. T1 seeded into the third. DK seeded into the fourth. The first name that came out of the second pool bowl was EDG. They got RNG as an opponent. Then I believe Hanwha Life came out next. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember the exact order of the draws, but I know that there were a couple of, hey, these people can't play each other things.
Yeah, so they had to basically avoid group rematches.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, the draws shook out where C9 gets Gen G. There's a meme going all through Twitter today and yesterday. Apparently, the reactions to both of the teams drawing each other, both of them were excited. I guess they must think that they can beat each other, but I'll be honest with you. Semifinals look free for Cloud9. Right? Like, hell. Finals might even look clean for Cloud9. Like, I think this is a legit, like, no cap. And even Cagel said this on stream this morning. And mind you, this guy's like a challenger level player. He's a analyst. Like the man knows what he's talking about, right? Like, no cap on this. C9 could go to finals this year, right? Like, let's C9 has got Gen G. Gen G is the weakest Korean team in this tournament so far. They went 3-3 and barely got out of their group, right? And I'm going to say everybody barely got out of that group D, but I mean, it is what it is. C9, I think these are two teams that have clear weaknesses and clear strengths. If they can play to their strengths and abuse the weaknesses of each other, this makes for a great best of 5 series. I think if any of these have the potential to go to 5 games, it's definitely that one. That's just first of all, right? Because we are now in the part of the tournament where it's one day a group or 1 day a bracket or whatever you want to call them.
1 match per day.
There we go. Thank you. We get 1 match per day, and they're best of fives, right? You would think I could think of this terminology, but no, I'm still trying to process. My
This is
brain is like
this is another
sleep time.
reason why I'm here. I live in chaos. I thrive in chaos.
Well, you touched a little bit of chaos into this tournament. That's what's up.
You're welcome.
Ugh. But yes, 1 match a day moving here forward through the entirety of the rest of the tournament. And we will have best of fives. So maximum of 5 games. No tiebreakers. None of this. Like it's 5 games max. This is where we start getting silver scrapes, right? I think we get silver scrapes C9 versus Gen G. I think C9 takes out Gen G. Again, they choked, right? Mind you, Korea knows how to play a best of 5, but C9 is the most experienced North American team out there as far as international play goes. We have an excellent team. I mean, we got Perks, right? Like if Perks gets defeated here, my stocks in Gen G go up substantially, right? Because in previous years at Worlds, whoever has won the World Championship has had to defeat Perks. I know that's digging into some stats a little bit, but I don't know. I think Cloud9's got an easy. It's not going to be difficult, but it's not going to be. It's not easy, but it's not hard, right? Like C9 gets out as long as they don't, as long as they focus, as long as they show up and they have a miracle run match day like they did back on Thursday. C9 gets out of this group, right? On the top side of this bracket, RNG EDG. RNG looks strong. Sure, they dropped a couple of games in their group, right? It's China. They choke. That's what they do, right? They choke on week 2. It's either they choke week 1 or they choke week 2. EDG, well, that's the same. I mean, it's China. You got 2 Chinese teams playing each other. EDG, I believe, RNG was the 3rd seed team. I think if anybody takes out RNG in the tournament before the finals, it's here, right? Like otherwise, if RNG win this out, I think they go to the finals. And honestly, I think we see a damn one RNG finals. And that's kind of what I predicted way early on at the very beginning of this tournament. I think EDG have the capability to take out RNG. Obviously, they showed it domestically. And if they do, that's good news for Cloud9. Lower half of this bracket, we got T1 versus Hanwha Life, right? The Chovy show stops here. Just plain and simple, right? Chovy has done amazing, but now it's Chovy versus Faker. Give me $100, right? Give me a nice, crisp $100 bill. Send me to a bookie and say, bet on Chovy versus Faker. You know who I put that money on? Take a guess.
Faker?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, since we're mentioning this, yes, the hashtag bet on Bovada is appropriate. But remember, if you're going to listen to him, please gamble responsibly. Of course, respect all terms and conditions of wherever place you go. Respect all laws. 21 means 21.
Yes. Now, you do that 9 more times, right? 10 out of 10 times, I bet on Faker. Just flat out. Faker is the GOAT. Faker has just the man plays League of Legends at a level that is, I'm gonna quote, you remember the A team, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the plan? The plan was always to be 2 steps ahead of your enemy, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's how Faker plays League of Legends. Faker doesn't play 1 step ahead and tries to predict what his opponent is going to do next, right? He's already got that figured out. He is predicting how they're going to respond to his prediction.
Sounds like some real four-dimensional chess going on.
It is. The man plays League of Legends in a 4th dimension, right? That's why he's so good. I mean, I could point at highlight reels and Faker versus Ryu and send you back to the Korean adage of in Korea, Ryu dies every 30 seconds. We could sit here and make this entire episode turn into nothing but talking about Faker, right? But that's not
Mm-hmm.
what we're gonna do. Faker will carry T1. Gumayusi has been looking great in the bot lane. I don't think Han will life. I don't think, even with Chovy's capability to make leads appear out of thin air, he's not going to be able to do that against Faker. And that is been Hanwha Life's win con, right? Is we get Chovy a lead, we play through side lane, we get Chovy on mid priority, right? We put him on a champion that can roam mid, or roam bot or roam top, and you make you make plays and you gain strength through the side lanes, right? That's pretty much been Hanwha Life's win condition through most of the tournament. Chovy just gets insanely fed. Push it. They put him on a champion that has priority, like TF for example, right? The man has played a lot of TF so far this tournament. So he's got his teleport. He's got his ultimate teleport as well. He's just making plays left, right, and center. Right. I think the T1 shuts that down. Right. T1 will outdraft Hanwha Life. They will get Faker the mid priority because they know that as long as Faker shuts down Chovy, T1 has it in the bag. And we will see the return of Faker at the forefront of T1, and Faker will remind people how good of a player he is this tournament. Because so far, yes, T1 has looked great, but it hasn't all been Faker. That's the thing, right? And that's where I think people are kind of not. There's been a little bit of disconnect, so to speak, right? Like T1
Mm-hmm.
has been very successful. It has not entirely been the Faker show. All of T1's lanes have been looking great. Gumayusi down in a bot lane has looked outstanding, actually. Um, T1 versus Hanwha Life, though, it is 100% the Faker show. Faker says, okay, I know what I have to do. I understand the assignment. It's shut down Chovy. Which is why I will, again, say it until I'm blue in the face. Hashtag bet on Bovada. Give me $100. Tell me to do it 10 times, or ask me 10 times. 10 out of 10 times, I say bet on Faker. And by betting on Faker, bet on T1. I go so far to say, and I'm trying. I don't know if I'm willing to hold on these, but I would say T1 over Hanwha Life 3-1.
Okay, so when everybody notes when Hanwha Life winds up winning this quarterfinal, At the Andesian. Mark all the tape in this episode, as it's a weekly review, will be up on YouTube. So feel free. Go nuts.
Damn One Kia versus Mad Lions. The Mad Lads were mad yesterday. Do not get me wrong. They pulled off a heck of a run to get, and they did what they needed to do yesterday, right? They had some insane objective steals, right? Um, God, we what 2, 3 different objectives got stolen in Mad games yesterday. They were managing to stall out the game to make the right comeback when they needed to. But damn one Kia is just so solid. Ooh, excuse me, so solid of a team. I unfortunately hate to say it, but I think you have to just automatically count Mad Lions out here. I don't want to do it to EU. I really don't, right? But I think even EU understands that it doesn't look good for them.
If you're running into a buzzsaw, I mean, okay. You just got out of the mad scramble that was the group. You're going up against a team that was 6-0. At least take a game and make it interesting.
Oh no, agreed. I would love to see this 3-1. Hell, I would love to see it go to silver scrapes, right? Like I would love to see this go to a game 5 and we, maybe Mad Lions lose by a base race. Like who knows? But do I think that's going to happen? Oh no. So looking at that, right? Because we have quite a bit of quarterfinals to resolve coming up here. Because we'll play. Let me look at the schedule one more time here. So the schedule coming up, we get T1 versus Hanwha Life on Friday. Saturday will be RNG versus EDG. Sunday will be Dam One versus Mad Lions, and then they're just gonna torture the hell out of NA, which I think is good for us. The most hype match out of these quarterfinals, honestly, Gen.G versus Cloud9, and they're sticking it on a Monday. Week from yesterday, we will see Gen.G versus Cloud9, which is actually good for Cloud9. It gives them a whole week to prepare for this quarterfinals game, right? I mean, likewise for Gen.G, but looking at semis, right? Let's talk semis. Just for a moment. Let's say predictions hold up, right? Let's say EDG gets out and C9 get out. So you got EDG versus C9, and then you got T1 versus Dam One Kia. Both of these are actually, I think, going to be really hyped, right? If C9 makes semis, that's automatically a hype game. Like North America in the semifinals. That's never happened. At least I don't recall it happening since the full international expansion. I could be wrong there. Somebody who does stats, you can tweet me.
So here's the rub. Say you're in the position of scheduling.
Sure.
You've got 2 hype matches. You're going to have one that Saturday, the 30th, and then one on Halloween, that Sunday.
Right.
Who plays whom when?
Honestly? Ugh. That's a tough question.
I figured this would be putting you on the spot a bit.
I think honestly, I put Cloud9 EDG on Saturday. Because all the North American folks are going to want to go out and celebrate Halloween.
Okay.
This is an 8 a.m. game. You're looking at probably a 6-hour broadcast day. maybe 7 if it goes to Silver Scrapes and it's, and they're like particularly bruisery games, which would not surprise me out of either of those two teams. And you put the two Koreans on Halloween.
Okay. That makes sense.
I think if I'm right, I think that's what I do with those. If that's how the semifinals shake out. Again, I think Cloud9 actually has a. This is the best opportunity that North America has had ever to get to finals. Hell, I said it on Monday. I said it on Sunday. I've been saying it all week. I think with the amount of chaos that has been going on in this tournament, this is NA's year, right? Like this is NA's absolute best shot to win the tournament. Especially if T1, if the Faker show shows up, right? Because Faker gets a buff for being at Worlds. I don't care what you say. The man is a 3-time champion. He is he is calm under pressure. He knows what it's just for him. It's like, I'm at Worlds. That mindset is there. It's on. Let's go. It's happening. Right. Like he just gets a buff to everything because he's at Worlds, and it's the nerves, the mentality, all of that stuff that like tends to bother other players, even some of the more experienced ones. You don't really see that out of Faker, right? So I think Dam1 has a very serious contender in T1 in those semifinals, and I would be willing, maybe not 10 out of 10 times, but half the time I would put my money on T1 winning and Dam1 getting eliminated there in the semifinals.
Interesting. Okay.
I could potentially see, and I think honestly it's the best scenario, it's the best case scenario for, well, okay, maybe not the absolute best case scenario, but it's one of the better case scenarios I think for C9 would be a C9 T1 final, right? T1 is on form, but they're not on 3-time back-to-back championship winners form, right? I think the best possible finals case for C9 is C9 versus Hanwha Life. I would love to see Jensen and Chovy go at it. But I think a C9 T1 final could happen. Right? I don't know if I hedge my bets on that, but I could see it happening. And if it does happen, I think that's the absolute best case scenario that T1 has to get the championship this year and bring the Summoners Cup home to North America. And then people can finally shut up about how NA is a crappy region.
Well, what better way to do it? And then, as I keep saying, with this year in particular, we've seen all sorts of championships be modified, different rules, season lengths, this and that. So there's always going to be those sort of asterisks. I think this, for the way leagues has gone this year, for the way that they set up worlds for this year, you get the opposite.
Oh yeah, no,
If C9 wins, then you have to shut up about NA being a crappy region, because even though they only went 2-4 in Worlds and all of the catastrophe and everybody was talking about the play-ins, they will have earned it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I think if any If any year deserves an asterisk as far as winning worlds, I think it was last year, right? Because you canceled MSI, and MSI does determine who gets into worlds, right?
Mhm.
And Cloud9, spring of 2020, man, they were unstoppable, right? That was the best that that organization had looked since its inception. And the fact that MSI got canceled, C9 doesn't get to go show up on the international stage and kind of shut some people up and say, hey, look, this is how this organization right now really is as good as we're hyping them up to be. Um, and with all the format changes they made to Worlds last year, and the fact that it was played entirely remote, right? Like they didn't even do
Mhm.
it in studio or anything. It was remote offices with CCTV cameras for competitive integrity and all of that other stuff, which I'm not trying to make a competitive integrity claim and say Worlds 2020 was rigged or people cheated or anything like that. Um, but there was also a meta, right, where um, in 2020 there was champions like the biggest one I can name for as an example was Nocturne. You saw a lot of Nocturne play because when the teams play on the stage, you can literally just look when Nocturne tries to ult and turn your screen black so you can't see any of your teammates or your surroundings or anything. You just look at your teammate's screen, right? To get an idea of what's going on around you. And there's nothing in the rules that say that that isn't allowed. But with some of these offices set up weirdly and the teams are not able to just like literally lean over an inch and look at their partner's screen. um you saw rise to that champion get played a little bit more. So you had a completely different meta that was would have never have happened. I don't even I would say arguably, but I think honestly, um, would never have happened because of the whole COVID situation. So yeah, I think 2020 is where you get an asterisk. But no, if Cloud9 win it this year, there's no asterisk there. And if you try to put one there, then you're just dumb. I hate to put it in those terms, but like, what rock have you been living under? Like there's no asterisk needed for this year's tournament. I mean, you could sit there and argue, oh, it wasn't a true international competition because not every region was represented because you didn't have Vietnam. Well, let's be realistic. Vietnam has been a play-ins team anyways. They've never been highly favored to get out. You could argue about the mathematical probabilities of if they took a game here and what the play-ins would have looked like this and that and the rest of the other, and maybe Cloud9 doesn't get out of play-ins in a world where Vietnam had shown up. But then you have statistics that say North America, whatever North American seed has gone to play-ins, has never not made it out, and you counter that. So I think the whole argument is null and void, right? Like there's no asterisk necessary there. It flat out. If Cloud9 wins it, they won it fair and square. And I mean, okay, maybe you can make an argument that they had an easier run, but we've said that about other teams in the past, right? Like we've said that about T1, how T1 has had some of the easiest run in some of their championships. They had some ridiculously easy runs through groups and through, the bracket stage, right? Like at the end of the day, that's just how tournaments in general shake out. The weakest of the weak teams end up sometimes going against the strongest of the strong and get stomped out. And it just looks like an easy run because that's just how the tournament's favored or the tournament is structured. But I don't think it discounts the fact that Cloud9 wins because they're still strong teams that, performed against other regions and, won the games that they won or lost the games that they lost. And, I there will be haters, regardless of what the result is, right? I mean, C9 could lose in spectacular fashion, and everybody's going to hate on North America, continue to call it a crap region. There's going to be flame left, right, and center, right? Like it doesn't matter what happens. There's going to be critics regardless, but I think the critics really need to sit back and look at themselves first. If Cloud9 go to the finals and win it, or hell, even if they make the finals in general, um, before they say anything, because the tournament has been legitimate. The teams have been good. If they have to make it through, especially like I said, if it ends up a C9 versus T1 finals, then I don't think you can ask for better League of Legends than that.
From your lips to the universe's ears.
But I think that's where we are for the quarterfinals. I'm excited to see how these matches shake out. I can't wait for Friday. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do with 3 days off because my sleep schedule is set for Worlds. I've been used to wake up every day for the past 2 weeks, and there's League of Legends Worlds on in the morning. Obviously, we only had 2 days off in this first run of things, so now it's like I get a 4 day break here, and then there's going to be a 5 day break between quarters and semis, and then there's a whole week between semis and finals. So yeah, that's gonna be a lot of thumb twiddling and
There's still,
Earth playing. That's for sure.
well, of course, there's still Thursdays.
Yes, there's still Thursdays with Life is Like a Game show. You will definitely see me on there. By the way, how's our Twitter poll doing for this week's game show in review?
Allow me to check on that, if
Because
you
I'm sure,
will.
because I'm sure I'm probably going to be asked by my other illustrious co-host of that podcast, Mr. Jonathan Nielsen, what the Twitter poll is looking like.
And I'm scrolling, and I'm scrolling, and I'm scrolling, and I'm still scrolling. We've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's been a lot of stuff.
Oh my. Okay.
Who's winning?
I'll put it up on screen for you.
Oh boy. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, folks, if you're a fan of Life is Like a Game show, expect a 3-hour episode on Thursday, and I'm not kidding.
Interested, twitter.com/W2M network. If you don't want us to break down the historic nature and everything involving 21, then vote for something else. The poll will
Yes,
still be running. It will be running through Thursday morning.
that sounds about right. Yeah, Thursday at noon, I think, is the
Yes.
cutoff.
Oh, and you know what? We even will get into the history of this because even the reason why that was in the poll backfired.
Oh,
Yes. Remember towards the end of when we were discussing everything off air, why the number 21 was so important?
yeah.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Uh oh.
So,
Uh-oh.
whoops.
Oops. I'm sure we can blame Harry for this, right?
Yeah, yeah, we shall. We'll
Yeah,
blame him.
we'll just blame Harry. John gets enough blame, and with the week he's had, we can lighten up on him a little bit. We'll blame Harry this week.
Indeed.
Um, But yeah, I think that's gonna cover it. Some very interesting group stage games. Um, if I had to pick a game to go back and watch, right? And there was a lot of them through the entirety of the group stage, right?
You did mention all of your statistics when I was away for your
Oh,
personal track record.
oh no, I totally forgot about that. I said I was going to put off on that. So, for those of you, I guess I can get to this now, an hour and some change later. Um, for those of you keeping track out there in Twitter land and on the podcast, there was a total of 54 games played. And out of the 54, and this includes tiebreakers, out of the 54 games that were played, we got a correct prediction on 34. That's 3-4 out of 54, which put us at an even 63% accuracy rating, which I'm pretty sure is the highest accuracy rating that I have had for Worlds. I'm usually not that great on predictions because I
Oh,
predict the chaos, and most of the time the chaos doesn't happen.
well, when you have a stable environment, of course you don't have chaos. These past 2 years have not been stable environments. I knew that there was going to be chaos from the beginning. Lo and behold, you sit here going into quarterfinals with a record of 34-20.
Yeah, that's
Now let's see how you go with the quarterfinals and where now there isn't as much of a potential as chaos. And I'm not even going to say, ooh, all of them are going to go the distance and yada, yada, yada. That would be too much even for me, maybe.
Yeah, no, that's a little bit too much for me to say. Okay, this is 3-1, this is 3-2. Cloud9 loses the first two, and then they reverse sweep it. Or that's a little bit too much even for me. Um, but we'll see how the bracket stage goes as far as predictions go. Obviously, we got a lot less chances to get it right. Um, I'll predict the games as they happen, sure. Um, but honestly, the predictions are going to be based on pick ban and team compositions more, even more so. And they'll be like in the moment, like I'll be making a prediction like right at the end of the pick ban phase.
So when it comes to overall predictions for the purposes of leagues to the max or whatever, yeah, it will be series winners that will be added to the tally.
Yeah, we're gonna do. I will be tweeting at the beginning of the day who wins the match, right? Like who wins the best of five. But I'll also throw out predictions on each individual game based on how I think the players have been playing so far, and the actual pick ban and team composition phase itself, right? Because there's been a couple of these games. I'm not going to lie to you, during group stage where it's like, all right, I already locked these predictions in, but if I'm, if I had the opportunity to change them based on pick bands and how these guys have been playing so far, oh hell yeah, I'm changing. I was like all day on Group B. I was like, oh god, I wish I could go back and change these predictions. Um, but like I said, going back and taking a look, right? Let's refresh here because my this schedule has gone way crazy. Um, if we go back and look at all of group stage, right? Um, and out of those 54 games, if I had to pick one game, right? Just one game that I would recommend to watch that I think captures the spirit of the tournament, right?
Hmm.
I I don't know. That's the problem. I just don't know.
Well, instead of just a one, say give like a top three.
Top three games, right? I think I can do that. One of them is definitely going to be Fnatic's one win, right? Fnatic versus Royal Never Give Up in the second round robin, right? Second game of Sunday, of this past Sunday, right? That's definitely going to be up there on that list. Um, I think I have to give one of those to Cloud9 versus Fun Plus Phoenix. The one where they took the win on Friday, right? In the second round robin.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think. Is there, because I don't want to make them all out of the second round robin. The first round robin did have some good games. I'm just trying to think which ones were they, right?
Right.
Honestly, I think I have to say EDG 100 Thieves because EDG barely won that game. If I remember correctly, that's the one that there was a base race. Um, and they barely won that because base race. And then I'm gonna throw in an honorable mention here. I have to go back and find it. Um, but it was the game where Tryndamere gets punted into the fountain.
So as he's looking that up, as you're looking that up, would you like me to take care of the whole administrative stuff as we wrap up the show?
Oh yes, please.
So again, we're getting these final. You'll get the final predictions. He will also be tweeting them out. You can find Bryan on Twitter at the Andesian. Because believe me, I will make sure that he won't just be twiddling his thumbs during this break. And when it comes to first quarterfinal day on Friday, he will be going absolutely nuts on Twitter. Follow him there. For those of you who have been faithful in watching us, we appreciate you so much. You can always catch us live. Facebook, W2M Network, twitch.tv/W2Mnet, Twitter, W2M Network, and YouTube at W2M Network. Since this is a week in review show, this show will be going up later today. And for those of you who are of the oral mindset, we are on all of your favorite podcast feeds: Stitcher, Spreaker, Castbox, Podbean, Spotify, Overcast, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio. If you name it, we are most likely on it. W2M Network, catch hours, the rest of video games to the max, all of the Radulich broadcasting shows. We are both on Life is Like a Game show, new episode Thursday. The kickoff usually on Wednesdays. We've got a whole bunch. Even Soccer to the Max on Sunday nights. Entertainment, sports, we got you covered.
Yes, and there will be more. There definitely will be more league coverage soon.
And we should be back most likely Monday with the beginning of the quarterfinals, and we got some special treats planned for the week in betwixt both quarterfinals and semifinals, and for semifinals and finals. And yes, you heard correctly, I did use in betwixt.
Ah. Okay, so that was 100 Thieves versus EDG. It had to be. I can't think of the. I can't. I don't think that was DFM. On Saturday. Actually, no. Sorry, no. That was 100 Thieves versus DFM. So 100 Thieves versus DFM on Saturday because DFM almost got their first win off of some stupid Tryndamere ult bull crap. So yeah, those are the games I would recommend going and watching. Like those are like absolute the bangerest of the bangers, right? I mean, I will probably compile a list of games and put them up on my Twitter at some point during the next couple of days off. Um, because I there's a couple of VODs I want to go back and rewatch and look at some of these games some more, especially coming up into quarterfinals, as part of some of the analysis that I want to do personally. Um, and as far as the storyline is going so far, but we are. I think we're pretty much at the end here. No, you've already done the admin wrap up stuff.
I'm covered.
All right. Well, let me see. I want to see if they tweeted this one tweet here. I'm looking for it, and I don't know if they did it or not. Please tell me you put out this tweet. No, they didn't, which makes me sad. Um, or
Tweeting, are you even looking for?
the power rankings by region for groups. I was looking to see if they tweeted one out.
Yeah, I don't believe they have.
No, they didn't. They did not tweet one out after the end of Group D, which makes me sad because I wanted to see the regions by power ranking at the end of the group stage, especially with the chaos that happened in Group D.
I guess they're
Somebody
probably.
probably somebody probably was like, "Yep, that's too much math. Fuck this. We got a tiebreaker to deal with."
Yeah, so you could expect that, I would assume, also coming out soon.
Okay, so we have the regions for day 6, right? We'll do the math ourselves. Why not? Fuck it.
Oh boy. All right.
Um, so Gen G went. They played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. So that's 5 more games for the LCK, and they
Okay.
won 1, 2, 3 of them.
So they went 3-2,
So add that to 17-5.
20-7.
Okay. Let me write that. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, right. Definitely write these down as you go.
All right. LPL. That was LNG. They played 1, 2, 3, 4 games as well, and they won one of them. They went 1-4, and we're adding that to a total of 13-10.
So you say they went 1-4?
Yeah.
So 14-14.
Wow, they batted 50%.
500 on the button.
The PCS is 3-3 because they got eliminated. So the LPL ties over the PCS at ties with the PCS for 3-3. So they tied for second technically at the moment.
Okay.
All right, so LCS. Team Liquid played 4 games. Everybody played 4 games, right? Actually, yeah, everybody played 4. Actually, no, some 2, 3, 4, 5. I said 5 games for LCK, right?
Yes. They
Okay.
went 3-2.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So everybody except for Matt and Genji played 4 games. Okay. So Team Liquid went 2-2, and add that to 7-9.
9-11.
So 9-11. 9-11. The LEC Europe. Okay, so they played 5 games because they went to the first seed tiebreaker. They won. They went 3 out of 5.
So they
And
went
they
3-2.
or 3-2. Sorry. and adding that to a 5-12 record.
8-14.
And then the LJL, which is Japan, they were already eliminated. They were at 0-6. Okay, so 20-7, 14 out of 14, 3-3, 9 out of 11, 8 out of 14, 0-6.
So,
Is 9 out of 11? That should be greater than 8 out of 14, right?
well, no, not 8 out of 14, 8 and 14, which is 8 out of 22. And 9 out of 20 is automatically greater. So, yes.
Okay, so the regional rankings did not really change. So the regions ranked after the entire world's bracket. The LCK was 20-7. They're the best region. LPL was batting or an even 500, 14-14. The PCS tied with them at 3-3 because they only one group. They only had 6 games to play. The LCS went 9-11. Or 9 for 11.
No, 9 and 11.
Yeah, I said that right. These stats always trip me up sometimes. The LEC went 8-14. So they're going to be 4th and 5th. And then the LJL failed to win a game and is 0-6 and was the worst region at Worlds, at least in the group stage.
Them's the breaks.
So them's the breaks. LCK looking to be on top. Is this a surprise to anybody? Probably not. With that, we are, like I said, gearing up for some LCK action. 2 Korean teams are going to be going up against each other. T1 versus Hanwha Life, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or sorry, Eastern Daylight Time. We're not back to standard quite yet. Friday. Look for my predictions sometime before then. Do note the broadcast is actually moving up an hour since they don't have to play so many games in a day. They are starting an hour later. So for those of you like me who have been used to games starting at 7 a.m., which means the broadcast turns on at 6 a.m., broadcast is probably going to start at 7 a.m. and the games will start at 8.
So they're moving it back an hour.
No, they're moving forward because, like I said, they're...
No, moving it up would mean they're starting earlier. They're moving
my
it
mind has
back.
My mind has got it backwards. They're starting later, so to me that means they're moving it back. But yeah, no, I get what you're trying to say.
Well, no, that's the correct way. They move it back when they're starting later.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're moving it back an hour because they normally started at 7. Now they're starting at 8.
I swear, what would you do with this show without me around?
Probably get a lot more hate tweets. By the way, you can direct your hate mail via email to s.garmer@gmail.com.
See, this is how you do it right, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you make that reference. Very well played.
Yes, I'm sure you're going to clip this now and have it on cue for all of the other shows when somebody does the reference wrong.
I mean, maybe. There's only one person that does it wrong and has done it wrong, and he knows who he is.
Oh, yes. I think we all know who he is.
Yes.
Yes. But anyways, I think that's going to wrap it up for us here for the group stage here at W2Mnet and the latest tradition installment podcast media that we are bringing you called League to the Max or whatever. Hopefully we might have some surprises as far as production goes for quarterfinals. So stay tuned.
Ooh.
And again, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you on Friday.
Later.